Today we are doing a Thavas deck profile. Now, if you like this playmat, kinda different than the Valios one, it will be available in the link in the description. Now, as you know, I already did a Thavas deck profile, both GBT13, but there are actually many ways you can build Thavas. So the first profile you saw of me was the most cookie cutter build, the pretty aggro version with Mitros and so forth, and this one will be more a draw heavy build. I actually heavily prefer this one, because with the rush build, you kinda depend on your opponent not hitting too many defensive plays, because once they can stabilize, you don't have a gigantic hand to recover and you lose momentum. So starting with the starter Bubble Edge Draco kit, I actually used to run Bubble Edge in all my Thavas decks before set 13, because it was just objectively superior in every single way. But now with the new Thavas, I felt like Mitros could be better. However, after testing, I actually started feeling, just like I said earlier, once your opponent can kinda recover, you lose some of that momentum, and then you actually really want that 2-card advantage you used to have before set 13. So I put him back in, it works way better. Sure, you don't have the insane Mitros shenanigans with Alexandros, but the win rate does go up if you also follow the rest of the deck. Like, if you keep following the cookie cutter build, sure, Mitros might stay better, but if you run this version, this one might be better. Getting to the boss monster, 4 of the new Thavas. This guy does so much. He's a better Tidal Assault or Adelaide. His stride skill basically allows us to replace Stasias with something better. He also gives resist to fuck the Denial Griffin and Hetero around plays. He just does so much. 2 of the old Thavas, basically for the name. We never want to ride something that isn't Thavas. I get people running Benedict. I ran him in my old build, but the current build just relies so much on the Thavas Vanguard, and we don't really want to stride into Commander and Wailing when we don't have to. This is the only way for me. I always want to be going into Thavas. 3 Tidal Assault. This is probably the first build where I run less than 4, because I wanted to make room for another card. It's actually very important for our momentum. Also, with this build, I don't really like going into the early Tidal play and rush unless the game really wants that of me. 3 Adelaide. Again, first time I think I go below 4, same reason as for Tidal, still an amazing card. And this is the card we're making room for, Saberflow. She actually got way better with Alexandros. I ran her in a lot of pre-GBT13 lists as well. She was always very good to get our resources, and now with Alexandros she actually gets better. With Lambros she could get a little clunky, but now with Alex you can have, let's say, 2 in the front row, swing, swing, Alex, restand, and then get all your draws. Apart from that, she also empties our field, and given the existence of decks like Chaos and Overlord, having empty fields can sometimes be really handy, even though we run a lot of resist already. 3 Shipra, she just does so much. Having an 11k or even more back row attacker with the new Thavas, getting the draws of her, having resist, she's just insanely good. 4 Kelpie Rider Nikki, of course I only run 6 grade 3s, so I really need these. Also, you usually want to ride the correct Thavas, the new one. 4 Plato, you really want that counter charge from him. I will often even ride him early, just so I can then Soul Blast him out with Adelaide and then get that extra counter charge, and that way also keep pieces like Melania in hand. 4 Melania, she's just too damn good. Having resist, having wave, having that draw, she's like our own little cruising dragon. 3 Ortia, not only does she allow us to get 3 draws on the first stride with Bubble Edge, which is rare but it still happens, she also does some disgusting triple attacks with Alexandros and a boosted up new Thavas. It's insane. And also resist helps. 4 Petros, we like the soul. We also really like to call him early on your first stride, let's say. When you don't have a lot of pieces, he just gives you those extra battles and then disappears and refunds the cost of calling himself down. 4 Supersonic Sailor, because we actually really like the counter charge. To get on the topic, I also run 4 draws. Now I know a lot of people like 6 draws. However, with this current heavy draw build with the 3 Saberflows and the Bubble Edge, actually found myself drawing into draws too much when I had 6, and I often missed the 10k guard. So I bounced it back to 4-4 instead of 6-2, and I like this way more. 4 of the new heal. The counter charge is so important. Getting into the G zone, we have 2 of our Lambros. I get Alexandros is an amazing card. I run him at 4, he's so good. But you actually really like going into Lambros as well from time to time. For example, if you're forced into riding grade 3 first, you can actually G-guard, be on GB, then go into Lambros, do your double Melania attack. If you don't know what that means, you have your Lambros, you have a Melania, you have something else. You give Melania the back row attack, you go attack, attack, you attack with Melania, and then with Lambros you restand your Melania and get another attack with Melania, giving you that double draw. That way you can fill hand, don't waste too much counterblast on an early Alexandros that gives just as much power as Lambros, while simultaneously giving you cards, getting ready for those way bigger turns. You're not having those tiny hands you get with the cookie cutter build, because you often have to watch out for resources there. 2 commander, you rarely go into him, but if you're really starved for resources, he can still be solid. He also gets you out of shitty situations if you got into them against Chaos, for example. 1 Wailing, I used to run 2, but I just never went into the second. He's still nice for clutch game wins though. If we get into a meta where it becomes important to wipe your opponent's field, well then I might bump him up to 2 again. For Alexandros, this card basically changed Aqua Force forever. Aqua Force was this meh tier 2 deck, and then the second Alexandros came, he just gives us so much ridiculous power. He makes it so we're not very affected by having an unideal board, because he always creates waves. It's just an amazing card. I'm so glad we got him. He changed everything. 4 is a little much. I don't often go into the fort, but it's nice to have, and it's still better than any other option we may have. But you could run 3. Then 1 Megiddo. I don't go into him often. If you want to replace him with some G-Guard option, that's all fine and dandy. I do use him. If you're in a really bad situation, you lost all momentum, your board is gone, your hand is gone, even though that last one is pretty rare in this deck, you can still go into Megiddo and do some miracle plays. But apart from that, we don't use him often. Regardless, I do want those miracle plays from time to time, and so we have him. 1 Seabreeze. We actually have one of the best Seabreeze turns in the game, because we get to go with Bubble Edge, we have our Sheepras, we have our Melanias. We can easily draw like 4 or 5 cards on a Seabreeze turn and then go from there. 1 Ice Barrier. The free 36k can sometimes be really handy. 1 Iho Anis. She's actually amazing against Gredora. Yes, I have been testing against various decks that are coming, big tier 0 or tier 1 decks. She's very good against that, because if you fill your field from the get-go, and you have that 1 column that Gredora doesn't allow you to have, but you have it already, she will start attacking them to get it empty. And so Ioannis basically says, no, fuck off, you can't hit these anymore. I run 1 Dismal for that same reason, so I cut a Wailing for this, because this one is just so good in that Gredora matchup. If Gredora vanishes, I might actually swap it for something else, but for now, this is such a hard counter to Gredora. 2 Galphilia. She's amazing against Link Joker. The unlocks are so painful for them. However, keep in mind that you don't blindly use that. You don't want to be unlocking everything at once and then next turn not have a Galphilia to actually finish them off. Sometimes it can be handy to keep that Galphilia face up, let them know, hey, it's coming, and then when you really go for that kill, use the Galphilia to win. Because you don't want to be unlocking for no reason, don't win the game, and then have no Galphilias left. So do keep that in mind. Also, against Chaos, you often want to be flipping up Galphilia with Alexandros. Like, it doesn't matter that your Seabreeze will be face down, just keep unlocking this one so you always have access to her. You also want to be watching out with Counterblast in that matchup, even more so than you normally have to, because you will not be using her for countercharging often, and so you will have to rely on your other countercharge resources, which aren't as clutch as this one. So that was it for this deck profile. I will probably make even more Thavas deck profiles with various fun builds and interesting builds and ideas, but if you have an idea of what you want to see me do, maybe a combo video or a matchup video or anything, just let me know in the comments down below. As I said before, this playmat is available in the link in the description. Subscribe to the Solemn Vanguard channel and click that bell button to stay up to date, and I will see you soon. Ciao!